Hi, everybody. Good morning. This week, we're going to be starting an awesome story by Francisco Jimenez called Inside Out. This story comes from his famous book, The Circuit, in which he details his experiences as an immigrant, his childhood immigration experiences moving from Mexico to California. We'll be completing our usual opening do now warm-up routine. We'll be watching a video about the life cycle of a butterfly, how a butterfly starts as a caterpillar and goes through different stages to become a butterfly. This aspect of the life cycle becomes an important symbol in the story. It becomes a symbol of change and of growth. We'll be looking at two new academic vocabulary words, the words anxious and understand. Students could return to their word knowledge building matrix and add these two important words for this week. Anxious. Students may say nervous or scared. For the word understand, students may say getting it, knowing it, when something makes sense. And the word symbolism is an important literary device that we could also add that will come up later this week. So again, students could refer to this document, which is available in the video adapted resources folder. Today's purpose. This week, we are going to read a short story about Francisco, the son of migrant workers who is new to an American school. Pay special attention to words and phrases that show setting and characterization. We'll be jumping into the text. There's an audio recording available. We'll be reading the first section of the story today, and there's a number of discussion questions that teachers could address. There's an important after reading activity, a reading journal, also called a double entry journal that we've seen come up before, where students will be responding to quotes from the text. This first question in yellow will be returned to in the day 4 lesson. So it's important that students have a good solid response to this particular question. Finally, there's a number of after reading activities where students could make connections to the text. Students could explain how they would welcome Francisco into their school. And most importantly, there's a video on YouTube discussing symbolism in literature, which may be a new concept to many ENL students, but is important to address the concepts of metaphor or symbolism as literary devices. As we said in this story, the caterpillar and its life cycle is a symbol in this story. Now let's jump right into today's lesson. Can somebody please read today's essential question? Good. How can the people around us affect our growth? Good. We're continuing with this idea of how our environment could affect us. Can somebody please read today's 2 lesson objectives? Good. To make logical inferences from the close reading of a text and to summarize key ideas and details in a text. Good. Students are going to continue making inferences, drawing conclusions from what they read, as well as continuing to cite evidence for their inferences and conclusions. Good. Let's take a look at our opening do now routine. Look at the image. What do you see? What do you think? What do you wonder? Students may say, in the image, I see a butterfly. Students may say, I think that butterflies are really caterpillars. Students may have prior knowledge on the life cycle of a butterfly. Finally, students may say, one thing I wonder is, how long does it take for a caterpillar to become a butterfly? Now we'll be completing our before reading activity where students will gain some additional background on the life cycle of a butterfly. There's a link to a very cool YouTube video right here, and students will be briefly summarizing the changes and the steps of the life cycle in their own words. So again, by clicking this link, we'll open up to this YouTube video where students could observe the metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly. Very cool. And then students could respond to this prompt on a Google document, which can cumulatively keep their work organized for the remainder of the week. Again, this file is available in the Video Adapted Resources folder, and there's a sentence starter provided for the students who may need it. Students should be practicing writing as they're building their writing skills, writing in an organized manner with clear paragraph organization, as well as writing in complete sentences, using sentence starters, and topic sentences as well to introduce the topic of their paragraphs. So the question says, discuss some of the changes that happen to a caterpillar before it turns into a butterfly. Students can start by saying there are many steps for a caterpillar to turn into a butterfly. The first step is, and this will help students get started with their writing, and teachers could provide additional support as necessary or additional sentence starters as necessary, such as the second step is, the third step is, the final step is, etc. Following that activity, students could jump into the primary text where they'll be reading the first page of the story. There is an audio recording available at this link for students who prefer to listen. There's a number of reading strategies as well, where students may read a part independently or may take turns reading out loud. Again, it's important for students to complete the discussion questions, and these discussion questions can also be added to the student handout for the week. Following the reading of the story, students will complete the reading journal activity. Again, students should complete this first line that's highlighted in yellow. The chart has been transferred to a Google document for the students to complete, and some sentence starters have been added so that students can continue to practice writing in complete sentences and writing more extended responses. Finally, there's a number of closing and connecting activities for students to answer. Students could respond to how their surroundings may impact the characters in the story. Students could make connections to their first day of school and what Francisco was going through. Students could explain how they would make Francisco feel more welcome if he came to our school. And finally, there's a link to a YouTube video explaining symbolism, which is an important discussion for students to understand this literary device or this literary concept that plays a major role in the meaning of the story. And that video can be seen here on YouTube. Okay, at this time, you can now jump into the before reading activity and watch the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly. Enjoy the lesson.